Have you thought about making a move to the Portland metro area and you've heard about a town called Tualatin? Well, in today's video, we're going to be discussing a bunch of stuff about Tualatin that you may not know about and you may be curious about. So stick around because we're getting after it right now.
All right, so if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in the greater Portland metro area, then make sure you click that subscribe button, tap that notification bell, do a little dance, and that way you'll be the first to know about everything happening in our market up here in Portland.
I'm Ann Stewart. This is Erica Hagfirst. We're your go-to gals when you're making a move to Portland. Don't be shy. All of our contact information is in the description below. You can reach out to us at any time via email, text, or call. We always love getting your reach out, so hit us up. All right, so we are here in Tualatin. We're actually going to be Tualatin. Okay, Erica, why don't you explain the city name and why it's a little bit tricky for people, especially if they're not from here.
All right, so as with a lot of names in the greater Portland metro area, Oregon in general, Washington even, we have a lot of, Native American heritage, and that is where the name comes from. So Tualatin is proper pronunciation if you're new to the area or just checking this place out for the first time. So yeah, there's your history lesson for the day.
Yeah, and Tualatin is located not that far away from downtown Portland.
No.
It's right off the freeway, I-5 to be exact.
Yep.
And we find it takes, maybe 20 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes on a good day.
Or 40 minutes, depending on
or
traffic
40
situations.
minutes, yeah.
That's really the nature of everything is there's the timing with traffic and the timing without traffic. So proximity wise, you are very close. However, keep in mind if you have a commute and you would be at high traffic areas, that could be a little bit longer. However, I always consider this kind of the juncture between the edge of the Portland metro area and then, as you get further south and heading towards Salem. So this is kind of that breaking point in my mind. It is a weird little area though. It's a lot of suburbia wrapped into one.
With industrial and lots of dense shopping. We almost debated whether to do this video because we were like, okay, Tualatin's a little hard to explain unless you're really looking at a map. So please look at a map when you're talking about or going over Tualatin.
It kind of borders a little bit of everything. It borders Oswego, it borders Tigard, it borders Sherwood, and then Wilsonville as well. It does span 2 counties as well, so you're mostly in Washington County. However, there is a little bit that's in Clackamas.
A tiny bit in Clackamas.
And so, and it spans both sides of I-5 as well. So a little bit of an interesting area here, but it is a really nice area if you don't want to feel like you're living right in the middle of a city. There's a ton of nature parks here. Yeah. Places to get out, get away from feeling like you're in the hustle and bustle. But then if you want the hustle and bustle, you've got Bridgeport Mall, which, is an outdoor walking mall here. And as well, you've got a lot of, big national brands that you can go shopping at and, grocery stores and the whole shebang of things like that. Lots of hotels. There's a lot of industry, like Ann was saying. You've got Legacy Health. You've got Lamb Semiconductor. You've got a few others. Several others actually in this area. So lots to
Well, let's break that down so we can give people a little more insight into each one of those. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
One of the more popular shopping meccas, if you will, is the Bridgeport Village, which we're walking around currently. This is the Apple store. Everybody loves a good Apple store around. We also have big retail restaurants like California Pizza Kitchen, which is kind of coming up here on the corner. They just put in a Kona grill. And they've got a Pastini's Italian restaurant here on the left. And they have a McCormick and Schmidt as well, if you like seafood. There's Mario's, which is a very high-end men's retail. I think they do have some women's in there. But overall, there's just a ton of shopping in the Bridgeport Mall area, as well as restaurants, a movie theater. They've got all kinds of Crate and Barrel. And they've got center aisle kind of retailers. So not food carts, but kind of turned from food carts to partial restaurant where you can try different types of varieties of food. They've got great covered areas that allow you to sit there, whether it's really nice outside or maybe a little chilly, and also when it's raining. So they've done a great job of improving it so that everybody really feels like they have some cover while the weather changes. Because this Bridgeport Mall was designed by a California developer, and it feels like that. You feel like you can be outside walking around, which is lovely during the
It's
nice
during
months.
summer, but not so great during winter.
Not so great during the winter months. And I think that's why they recently, within the last couple of years, put in some covered areas that allow you to sit outside with like heat. So they've got outdoor fireplaces and some kind of heat lamps and such so that you can enjoy yourself. And also during the holidays, they decorate this place and it's
This
really
place is
magic.
Spectacular during the holidays.
Yeah.
Really quite the mecca for, getting in the season and really feeling the spirit of whatever season you're in. They do a good job multiple times throughout the year.
I mean, think about it. You're going to be Christmas shopping and there's nothing more magical than walking around seeing Christmas lights, and they bring Santa Claus in and they decorate. So it's just fun to come down here all year round, really. But during the holidays, it just kind of has that extra special feel. We've got the Regal Cinemas with an IMAX inside. Lots of movies play here, which is an easy place to get to when you're wanting to go see the latest in movies. And here we also have a great space for kiddos to come and play on synthetic turf. Okay, so the first thing is it is very family friendly. It's got a lot of variations in neighborhoods. You can actually buy luxury homes in Tualatin. Like Erica had mentioned, part of it is in Clackamas County, which is in kind of that Stafford Hills area where there's acreage homes that are on average between 1.5 and $2+ million. And then there's the average sales price here, which is around $550. You can get starter homes here. A lot of the neighborhoods were built in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then there was a big boom in the early 2000s where they built, some of the newer-ish stuff. There's not a lot of land left to build new construction, but there are little pocket areas where some builders are kind of finding some, like a little plot of land. They'll throw in 5, 6, 7, 8 homes, but there's just not a lot of areas that you can go build in anymore. And it's very dense with shopping and retail. Just like Erica said, it's got Nyberg Woods, it's got Bridgeport Mall, it's got just
tons of little like strip malls.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just kind of all over. You've got some outlet options like big Old Navy type stores and Boot Barn and
Ulta Beauty and Chipotle. And one thing we were talking about before we did this video is like, even though Portland in general doesn't have a lot of fast food restaurants, this area actually has the most dense.
Everything.
It's got Panera Bread. It's got, all those like sandwich shops and
all the sub shops,
Jersey Mike's and Outback Steakhouse.
It's got McDonald's. I mean,
yeah, it's dense with that kind of stuff. So it's different in terms of what Portland usually doesn't have, because you can go to a lot of areas, both East and West Side, and not see a real density in fast food. But here in Tualatin, it's packed in, and I think it's because there's a lot of retail around, and it's right off the freeway. So a lot of people can hop off the freeway
it's kind of like, how when you're traveling across the country or through different areas, like you start passing through cities and you see all of those restaurants that are generally right off the highway. Yeah. And that is one of these locations. So you're not in the heart of the city where you're going to get confused as to where to get back on the highway, or you have to, go some, 3 rows over and lose yourself. And so it's easy on, easy off, and you do have all those options. And like I said, this is you do have Wilsonville that's just south of here, but this is a little bit more dense. It's got a little bit more business and robustness to it. And so I feel like that's why you have so many of these fast food options that are quick and easy to go. You do have a lot of business around here as well. So, it speaks to that business person who doesn't have a lot of time to just go sit down for a meal. And, or parents on the go, because like Ann was saying, this is a really family-friendly area. Yeah. And so, you've got great schools, and that along with great schools, they have great sports teams. Yeah. And so, you get a lot of those, I don't want to coin a bad term, but like, soccer moms who are like running around, they've got their career, they're trying to get their kids to their sports, or their dads are trying to
They got to be close to get stuff.
Yeah, they got to, everything, is a matter of timing. And so they've got a lot of options here for those kids and parents who are, living 24/7 on the go. Yep. But
and I'll speak to the school district because my son actually goes to Tualatin High School, and we've been really happy with them. They have really good sports. I mean, it seems like every year they're winning regionals, titles, state, whatever. But Tualatin, being a smaller city, actually shares their school district with Tigard. So it's called the Tigard Tualatin School District. So you can live in Tigard and actually go to some of the Tualatin schools, and kind of vice versa, because it's hard to know where those school lines are. So it's something to be aware of if you're really particular about what schools you go to. But Tualatin is very highly rated. In fact, niche.com rated Tualatin High School with a B+. I know we've had a great experience there all in all, and a lot of people say really good things about it. So If schools are important to you, of course, always do your research. We can only do so much for you in terms of our opinions, but there are great websites out there that'll kind of help you understand what the middle schools are like and what the elementary schools are like. But just know that it's called the Tigard Tualatin school districts. They don't separate those two. They're all in one because Tigard and Tualatin butt up right against each other, and they kind of bleed into each other a lot. And just with the population in general, that's just kind of how they've done it. So do your homework on schools, but if you're looking for good schools, they're definitely rated top in the area.
Yeah. Okay, so even though you wouldn't think about it, because we are a pretty dense area, we're still very suburbia, this area is super packed with parks and water access. So there is a Tualatin River, and there's a water park, not water park, but like a waterway park. So you can drop in a paddleboard or kayaks.
You can rent them too.
And yes, renting options are available, but you've got almost 39 miles of travel area. And they've got rest points where you can kind of like pull off and, you know, take a rest or look at the area. There's also Brown's Ferry Park, which has, you know, a dog park in it. It's got, you know, walking trails, running trails.
You can rent kayaks during the summer.
As well as, you know, all sorts of just different like playground options, sporting complexes. I think it's the Ida B. Wells. There's also a swim complex. So, I mean, just about any sort of option that you want. There's a National Wildlife Refuge as well. And so just
trails, you can walk on those trails.
A ton of options to get out into nature, hike around, you know, be one with our surroundings. And it's really a nice option, especially when you have some of these dense neighborhoods. I will say though that the Tualatin area does a great job of incorporating a lot of like older established trees and landscaping into their neighborhood. So, you know, there's a great neighborhood off of Martinazi as you head south out of Tualatin, and that area is just super cool because it's got a lot of big old trees in it. You feel like you're out in nature, not like it's one of these newer subdivisions that, you know, has very new, fresh trees that haven't quite matured yet, which is, you know, a nice option, especially living in the Northwest. That's why we're here. We like being out in nature. We like the trees. We like feeling like we're not separated from the outsides.
Okay, we're going to talk about the industry and jobs because for a lot of people, they are like, what?
That's what brings us here.
That's what makes us go. Now, a lot of people who live in Tualatin don't work in Tualatin. They hop on the freeway exits. They're really close to downtown Portland or Wilsonville or wherever they're going.
And the Max comes down here.
Oh,
so
yeah.
There is
good public transportation. Yep. Now, there are big companies, surprisingly, in this little city, one of them being Lam Semiconductor. They employ quite a few people. Lam's is doing very, very well as we speak. There's also Legacy Health Systems here. And then if you go down the Tualatin Sherwood Road, you're gonna travel down a very industrial feeling area with some business parks in it. And there are a ton of businesses in there. Big ones too, warehouses and distribution places.
This area is expanding like heavily. They're doing a lot of building and infrastructure to improve access to this area. So it's only growing in the Tualatin area. So it's off of like the road that's called Tualatin Sherwood. And it's definitely tons of new buildings going in for lots of expansion.
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of industries in this particular area. So there are jobs local. And because of that, even though it's a small town, some of the main roads have a ton of traffic. So beware that Tualatin Sherwood does get pretty backed up, especially during rush hour and times where people are coming and going. It's not a very big city, but the main roads can get busy, like Lower Boones Ferry, Upper Boones Ferry, just to get on and off the freeways because a lot of people are coming and going. And then there's all this density, right? There's all this shopping where people are trying to get to the restaurants or the retail or the malls or what have you. So it's a smaller area, but it can get a little bit trafficky. Well, thank you for joining us today as we introduced you to Tualatin, Oregon. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, maybe you just learned a few things. We hope you did. And of course, we are here for you. If you have more questions about this area or
drop comments below.
Yeah, please do. We love seeing your comments. And if you guys are interested in other areas around the Portland area or have more questions, like we always say, do not hesitate to be reaching out to us via cell phone, text, or phone call. We're always a short phone call away from chatting and connecting with you guys. We always love the reach out. So we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye. Bye.